Yeah, thank you. How's the sound in the back? Good. Yeah. So today I make some remarks on Tara and the wind element. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, maybe could it be longer? Um, a few of us went down to the Bay Area to see Demralocha Rinpoche, who gave a talk on the 21 Taras. And Rinpoche says, oh, there's, Taras about the lung or the wind energy. And then he just kind of passed on. But at that point, there was some shift in the room. So sometimes when teachers talk about different things, they're not just talking about them, they're also manifesting them. I think at least one person in the audience was there at the time, and maybe they felt that shift also. It was similar when I saw the Dalai Lama for Kala Chakra in Toronto in the 90s. I've told this story many times. He said, well, did you? And he said, well, I had a really good, some nice dreams last night, but I woke up when the moon shifted to full because the my winds shifted from one channel to another. Did anybody else experience that? And everybody was just sitting there. And then he just went on. Um, so we're here to talk about things like that. uh, a big piece is, do we notice when we're shifting? You see, we generally don't. The energies in our bodies and in the environment are always in dynamic relationship with each other, and moving in a sense, even though they're not really going anywhere. And things shift. Reality alternates, as I said at the meditation earlier today, and that's confusing for us guys. We go, oh, wait a minute, where am I right now? So the practices that we do is to figure out, in a way, meditate on how that shift works, how we alternate, and the fact that things do alternate, and to be present there to notice it, right? So in Mahamudra and Dzogchen practices, we're primarily interested in do you are you present when that shift is happening? Um, so, but if we don't train in the actual dynamics of the shifting energies to say, are you present when the shift is happening, doesn't make any sense because then there's no content. So that's why sometimes in America we say, well, just be present. We've all said it, right? Well, then we have to follow up. And I try to follow up with those like, present to what? Just be present. No, you have to know what you're present to, okay? So we are present to different things, but here today I'm just talking about how we're present to the uh, alternating energy that is who we are really. So of the elements, uh, we have earth, and we have water, and we have wind, and we have fire, and we have space, and sometimes add consciousness, right? Element. So Uh, what do you think the most important element is? So did I get them all? Like kind of earth, water, fire, wind, space, consciousness. Uh, good guess. Thanks for playing. Yeah, I mean, we could say yes. I mean, of course, if we're not present to it. What's the difference? Jack. Some people would say space, consciousness, you know. Mhm. Wind, wind. As far as us human beings go, with our yogas, it's the wind because air. If as far as the life force, of course, you know, what's present to us. If we're not present to the energy or the elements, then we're going to be off balance. So, uh, but as far as like our life force goes, you know, the wind or the lung, the Tibetan term or prana, is the most important. So the tantras and Dzogchen tantras too are going to put a lot of emphasis on uh, three things really. You know, we call sa, lung, tigle. So channels, winds, and drops on energy. So we do have to be present to things in general. Be awake, we say, be mindful, but we also like mindful to what? Well, of course, we want to be mindful to being kind, and we want to be mindful to, uh, you know, compassion, and mindful to like the car tailgating us on the causeway to Davis at 80 miles an hour. Do you ever had that experience on the causeway? Like they're just, it's like, so we have to pay attention. Um, but primarily we're doing these complicated yogas and practices to develop more energy and to keep our energy going. The Mahayana practices, the non-tantric practices, have the same realization of emptiness, right? At least in our tradition, we say that. So why bother doing Tantra? Why bother doing Mahamudra and Dzogchen? Why don't we just stop there? We say from our tradition, we could, but we want the extraordinary experience of Buddhahood, which is not only uh, seeing things as they are and being awake, but also having all the powers and the skills to liberate and benefit others and uh, bring some sanity to the world, right? So we don't want to just be arhats or partake Buddhas. We want to be full Buddhas like that. So we need to practice developing our energy and maintaining a balance of energy, or well, the jerks will win. Something like that. Or our inner jerk, our inner idiot will win. So we're we want to develop our wind energy or our lung and the pathways and the energy that goes along the pathways, so that when we realize things as they are, see the nature, we're seeing it in an energetic, blissful way, right? So the sometimes we say uh, we're developing in the tantras, we say bliss-filled wisdom, right? But when we say bliss-filled wisdom, we don't mean we're realizing the emptiness of chocolate. as we're eating it. The bliss has both the delight and freedom and energy in it. So we might have to say blissful energy, wisdom, something like that, or blissful energy, wisdom, love, something like that. Because there's the emotional connection, there's the energetic connection, there's just the delight when we say mahasukha, like that. Has the liberation, has the compassion, has the just the feel good quality, and we see things as they are. Isn't that nice? So we practice the wind energy, the lung practices, the sa lung tigle practices in order that we don't become just dysthymic Buddhists. So we don't use that term anymore. And DSM-5 with just slightly depressed Buddhists. Okay. So there's a criticism even from India and Tibet about please don't be a slightly depressed Buddhist. That when we're saying the arhats were kind of a little, the term like selfish or self-centered it's not quite the same as our sense of selfishness. It's like kind of more like just de-energized a little bit. You're nice, you're not harming anybody, but there's not, you're not totally charged up, right? So let's and Vajrayana and Tantra say let's add a little extra charge. Let's not be too mellowed out or a little bit persistent low-grade depression Buddhists. How's that sound? We're actually so we're Vajrayana is not always, it's a little bit closer to like grand opera, like Aida, rather than a solo shakuhachi flute. I like it's like very mellow, kind of like just very simple. We like that. I mean, we do need simple, very solo, just simple like that. But Vajrayana is also saying we need a grand opera like that. We need to create situations where vast number of people can be benefited and inspired at the same time, and we have enough energy to pull it off. These huge gatherings that the great teachers participate in, Monlam festivals and the huge retreat centers and the amount of travel that many teachers do. This is because they've developed the wind energy, the lung. Sometimes I look at like the huge ceremonies, and I think, oh, this takes a lot of energy, and it does, but it also gives a lot of energy. So that's why we need temple, and we do need to do things because we need to be filled up with the lung, with the energy like that. Okay, I'm gonna stop here and have a, is making sense so far? Yeah. The important part in the Buddhist tradition is the energy, the lung, the wind energy is not, obviously not static, but it also like alternates. So the Buddha criticized the yogas of the time by saying, you only have one energy, and your energy is always just ascending. Most of the Indian yogas now that are taught in the United States or the energy is like just always just go up to the crown, right? But we also want to, in our tradition, maybe in the other yoga traditions too, I don't know, like you also want to work on the descending energy, right? So actually the way it feels is that when you practice both the ascending of the winds and upward winds and downward winds, it's alternating. And it's like you don't have one elevator. Like when one elevator is going up, the other one's going down. Because that's the way human beings work. We alternate walk. I said this earlier. We don't hop. We don't have one foot. We walk. Things alternate. And the alternation is like what is dynamic. So we say in our tradition, we do this dynamic yoga. We don't do yoga that ends up in a fixed place. So that was another reason the Buddha said, your yoga ends up just in a samadhi state. My yogas both have samadhi and reflection states. We have shamatha and vipassana. And when the samadhi and the vipassana state, shamatha and vipassana are united, then the wisdom state emerges in the middle. This wisdom state is the combination of the ability to be totally immersed in our experience like samadhi, and to be able to totally reflect on our experience at the same time. This is difficult. This is where us human monkeys get confused. We're either like totally absorbed or we're in the watcher state. So again, the Buddha said, the yogas that split are not the yogas I teach. I don't teach just a oneness state, and I don't teach just the two-ness watcher state. The watcher is frozen one way, the samadhi state's frozen another way. I teach this interdependent state that results in the great bliss and the great wisdom, that seeing things as they are. That's what we're after. So we have to practice this experientially, using our body as the best tool. So even if we don't like our bodies particularly, and we think, I wish I weighed a little less or was younger, our bodies are the perfect expression of our Buddha nature. So, and if you're doing Tantra practice on top of Hinayana and Mahayana, and you're abusing your aggregates, as we'd say in the precepts, then please stop, because you're not doing Tantra then. Tantra's like, it isn't just saying I need to look beautiful. It's saying this wonderful vehicle I've been born into that does feel pain and pleasure, gain and loss, is also the marvelous vehicle, right? Because we can experience the alternating winds. It's simple to meditate on the breath, don't you think? No. Yeah. We have to alternate the breath. We have to breathe in, then breathe out. And when the alternation is in harmony, then we feel great, right? Not too long, not too short. So the green Tara particularly is usually seen as sometimes the main Tara, because green is associated with wind. I always wondered why green is wind, and I just have my own kind of idea, because when the only way we can see the wind is when the leaves, right? That's my idea. I don't know. That's not from some text or something. I just think, okay, it's like we're kids, and like, or we put our hand out and we feel. Do you ever stick your hand out of the window as a kid and feel the wind? And then your parents would say, "Get your hand back in." So in the yogas that develop the winds, actually we do kind of stick our hand like this. So that's why we need a teacher, because we generally don't feel the wind when we're totally congruent with it. That's a oneness state. We have to kind of do crossways and play with it a little bit, like, oh, that's like this. And Yeah. And that part is tricky. So we work with the winds with the teacher because the mind, we say in Tantra, uh, follows the wind. It feels a little different than the Mahayana thing. It feels like our our mind, usually we associate with our cognitive mind and our, you know, identity on our ID, but it's the wind. The mind must move along with the wind. So the Tara practices are extremely important because Tara represents this activity and is in union with the Buddha Moga Siddhi, all accomplishing activity like that. And if you want to accomplish things, then the wind needs to be harmonized and activated. So all the monasteries and teachers that I know actually do Tara practice. There are other ways, of course, to work with the winds and the channels and the drops, but we're focusing on Tara, maybe because for my birthday, people are doing Tara mantra. So we got Tara in there. Um, uh, so to do the inner winds and channels and drops practice is very intimate practice because you can't just conceptualize it, you have to work through it. It's like we could talk about riding a bicycle, but at some point, someone had to help us, put on the training wheels. But even before that, they would hold the handlebars for us or kind of walk along with us. Isn't that so? Yeah. I'm just wanted to give a little bit of overview that we want to notice that the doing the inner wind practice helps us see in a very embodied way how we move between oneness states and reflection states and how we uh, can be there when the shift happens, and that being there when the shift happens uh, is developing this absolute primordial wisdom mind, right? Part of wisdom mind is not biased. So it's not like the left leg or the right leg. It's that balance point. But we have to kind of be there when the shift is happening. We can't kind of be there afterwards. You have to be there at the same time, don't you think? Mm. Being there at the same time doesn't mean watching yourself do it. Being there at the same time means you're there for the alternating process of oneness and reflection. Notice I'm not saying oneness and watcher. Watcher is already split off, and both the samadhi states and the insight states are both experiential. This is important. I ranted about this an hour ago. So sorry. Maybe you got it then. I'm going to stop it. People sometimes think the oneness state is pure experience and the reflection state is intellectual. Then you're doing some kind of New Age California yoga. I don't know what that is. I just call it New Age California yoga. Because in deep samadhi states, um, you don't know what you're doing because you're completely uh, immersed in the experience. It's only when you reflect on the experience that you go, oh, okay, that was oneness, or that was two-ness, or that was a good pickle, or that wasn't a good pickle. The moment of complete oneness is there's no experience as an object. There is experience, but you can't say what it is. Then when you reflect on it, then you have the reflection experience. So it's like a mirror. You look in the mirror, you see your face, it's a reflection, but that's also a real experience, right? It's not an intellectual experience. Do you agree? But when we're screwed up monkeys, we think we get stuck in the watcher and thinking about things, which is like looking in the mirror and getting overly caught up. And is that a real person looking at me from behind the mirror? Maybe it is. Which one's real? So like that. So we get a little crazy. But both are experiential, the samadhi states and the reflection states. And when they're both united and seeing how they, and united means we're seeing both them functioning as the same energy, then we can develop that primordial wisdom, right? That's what, blissful, free, and energized, right? Okay, created more confusion probably, so I'll stop here and then we could have a discussion and you could try to sort it out. Go for it.
Questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
Complaints.
Thank you for speaking on the same subject as an hour ago. I was hoping it would come up again.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make full sense of it.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like there's the samadhi state, which is absorption, total absorption, and then the other state is reflecting. So
Yeah.
it's reflecting on the absorption.
Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds like two different types of meditation. Is that correct?
They could be, we split them maybe a little bit for our training purposes, but they're alternating functions of the same interdependent awareness.
It sounded to me like the first was more like shamatha.
Shamatha will lead to is kind of a little bit dualistic samadhi, we'd call it. You still have an object in front of you, but it's that placement absorption place, shamatha's on that road to samadhi. Yeah.
So that's the absorption. And then
Yeah.
vipassana was the insight, correct?
Yeah, it's like here's what I'm doing.
And that's the reflection.
Yeah, reflection.
Okay, so when you say that we want to alternate them,
Yeah,
they
are alternating.
They are always?
They're always alternating.
Okay, so it's not like there's a type of meditation that you can describe that where we're conscious of the alternating, that we're kind of in control of that or conscious of it?
That's what we're doing. We're practicing. Sometimes we have to practice a little bit more emphasis on one side to the other. Like, if you're in driving school or something, maybe some people have a hard time. They're really good at turning left, maybe because we're driving on, the wheels on the left-hand side, and they're not so good turning to the right, for some reason, they're not used to looking that way. So we have to say, okay, you got to practice, turning right. But you want to be able to do both. Some people have more emphasis on the other. We have to practice like, okay, let's see your left-hand turn. Now let's see your right-hand turn.
So the goal is to make it, excuse me, more of a consistent and even.
We can turn
alternation.
either way. The mind is completely freed, whatever is appropriate. But generally, it's always kind of alternating.
Okay.
Usually we have a bias. I just want to do nothing. I just want to be totally absorbed. And then that's stuck. And then there's another, I just want to totally be a watcher. And then that's stuck.
So the goal is to do both and
They're
be
both
aware.
energetic and alternating, but we say there's a middle, but the middle is like a no middle. It's not like a middle, like another hard stance, right? It's amazing. We have the ability to kind of get it, that like, oh, it's like walking, it's like breathing. So that they're a unified function without being an enmeshed function.
So the middle is like when they're in harmony or in
They're
balance.
harmonious. Yeah, they're harmonious.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama. When you were at the beginning of the talk, when you were talking about transitions and noticing the transitions
Yeah.
more, sorry, were the was this in was the two states you're just talking about that are all always interdependently interwoven? Are those what you're noticing the
Yeah.
transitions of?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
that's all I had. Thank you.
We're usually just seeing change like after it happens. We're usually not there as it's happening, because we're always choosing one side or the other.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Yay.
I wonder if you would be willing to share with us your own lived experience of a reality shift.
So that's, like, I'm just listening and then I got to talk. That's it. So okay,
Okay,
that's why I like to do this.
let me rephrase it.
No, it won't get better, Greg. It'll just get wrong.
Okay. I wonder if you might share your lived experience of like a pop culture term of a Mandela effect, wherein suddenly something you thought was true turns out, oh, it was never that way.
Like, waking up from a delusion, something like that. Yeah, so I think it's definitely maybe it's just a guy thing, but finally having like a child or something is a little bit a puncture of our kind of natural narcissistic thing. Like, oh, there's actually someone else here. Because most men are kind of just looking for narcissistic mirrors, otherwise known as girlfriends, or even if you're gay or something, you're looking for someone just to kind of mirror you, right? But then there's a child arriving, isn't going to do that right away. Hopefully not, right? Maybe we'd immediately narcissistically cathect the baby and go, there's my son or daughter or something like that. But usually there's this sense of some kind of amazement or awe, particularly if you're there during the birth, So there's not the immediate kind of experience of self-grasping, right? So, there's a temporary kind of maybe gap in or innate kind of narcissism, like maybe there's suddenly out of nowhere another being arrives, whereas usually we're just picking people that agree with us, right? So when a baby is crying, it's not agreeing with us. And that's why the hardest, generally they say the hardest time and for men is that so I'm kind of talking gender stuff here. We can still do that, you know, till they come and shut us down, right? But joke. Yeah, hardest time is when you know, kind of newborn, because then you know, suddenly I'm just talking traditional kind of cis male shit. So then suddenly you're not the center of the universe anymore, right? Then the child's the center of the universe. And that's, you know, that's when the Scott Peterson types can't handle it, right? You know, yeah, okay. So just get real here, you know, because that's when that narcissistic rage comes up. Like, wait a minute, I'm not the center. But instead, you know, we can see, okay, there's another center of gravity. So that's why the real Dharma is like you're even with your friends, you're always creating this kind of baby Buddha in the middle of it. You know, we're always co-creating the universe. The universe doesn't just kind of is not this narcissistic projection. So the Buddha really emphasized, like, he gave a lot of pushback to the Samkhya system, which is still operating. Like, it is not just an emanation, it's an interaction. So whenever we really encounter someone genuinely, there's almost a new kind of reality created, you know, and if you're there when it pops up, then that's what I call noticing the shift. So it's kind of like suddenly there's something new created. It's not a creation out of nothing, but it's not totally predictable either. So that's an example of kind of stepping out of, you know, it's like, oh, I thought I was, you know, the it person. Now there's another it person there. Of course, that fades, you know, and then I would, you know, from personally, then even though I was doing a lot of practice at the time, I'm sure I fell back into my usual narcissistic stance. Like, why is the baby crying? I need to get my sleep. Meanwhile, the mother is going, "Oh, what? Like, what do you mean you're asleep? I'm not getting my sleep." You know, like, yeah, something like that. That's a good question. Yeah, there's always, you know, there's always this kind of, you know, you think like it's always touch and go. Trungpa Rinpoche used to, you know, he loved that term, kind of from Dzogchen. So the whole process isn't like, this is not reality and this is not, you know, this isn't oneness and this isn't separation. The whole thing is interdependent. It's always doing this, you know, like, so that the whole thing is connection. You see, it isn't like this is connected, this is disconnected. So we find, you know, when there are some people personality wise, you know, they're too much into merging, right? Then you have this awful word, enmeshed relationship. And then there's some people that, you know, like avoidant attachment, you know, they're too much. The whole thing is connection. The Buddha was incredible. Just like, this is it, guys. It's connected, but it's a rhythmic connection. It's not a static like that. Is that making sense? It's hard to practice it. We have to practice it. It's not like you can't just put it on a graph and go, okay, you know, you have to, you know, get back on the diving board and keep making the jumps. This is kind of dry, probably. You want to hear some more interesting talk, but yes. This is for video land, yeah.
Where on this interdependent scale would like the green Tara practice fall? Because you kind of illustrated, if I'm understanding it correctly, you know, we use certain practices to move us closer to oneness if we have a bias towards separateness, or, you know, vice versa. Where would green Tara fall on that spectrum, or does it fall on that spectrum?
So that's a good question. So we're regarding like Tara as a Buddha, so Tara would have the the energy would be completely balanced, right? So of course, when we say Tara, then a lot of times, of course, we're imagining a certain form, but actually, when we're doing the wind practices, we're not always, carrying the visualization, or doing the inner yogas then. But the interesting part about us human beings is it does sometimes help to anthropomorphize the energies, so that we feel they're somewhat familiar, so we don't make them too mechanical or dry or something like that. So like when we're actually doing a full Tara practice, then it isn't just like, well, we have this wonderful being showing up in front of us, that's outside us, but it could also be outside and inside, and then we're doing the energy work all at the same time. It's very difficult to translate because the Indian Tibetan texts, for example, use they're moving back and forth between kind of literal language and metaphoric language, and unless we have some commentary or working with the teacher, we don't know, like, is this kind of like, are we in the kind of storytelling joke world where you're kind of getting something through metaphor, through kind of just the story of it? Or do you literally mean like we're, trying to push the wind down into the abdomen or something? And that's the problem, is, it's hard to know, like, so the example I take a lot, which people use a lot, which people are bored with, so I use it because that's what lamas do, is when I went to a master class as an audience with Itzhak Perlman, he just was working with first violinists from symphonies, and he just said to this one violinist, we'd listen, and then he'd go, okay, just could you play a little sweeter? So that's kind of metaphoric, right? But the guy got it. But how did he translate that into, there must have been some change in how he bowed it, right? Lightened up or something, for you musicians out there, or, if you're a wind instrument, you change your aperture somehow. How do you change it? How does the mind work that you can just say, play a little sweeter, and that does go to some kind of different muscular activity that translates into some little different movement? Because maybe it wouldn't have happened if he had said, you need to just stop moving the bow 1 millimeter less. And that might have done it. And the person, okay, 1 millimeter less. Okay, got it. Like in piano, maybe they'd say, it's like, like your fingers are too extended. You gotta, like, any piano players here? Yeah, is that right? Sometimes some teachers would say, you're a little bit like doing this, or you should be doing that more, right? But a teacher that you knew very well might just say, you just need to relax your fingers a little bit. But you kind of know what that person's saying. Whereas if you just tell somebody, like, they say how to play the piano, and you just say, just relax your fingers, you wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So that's the same way with Dharma. If you just tell someone, how do you meditate? Just relax. Well, that's not helpful. So that's really weird, where we can take kind of a metaphoric expression and turn that into a practical application. And there's a wisdom mind that goes, oh, it's just like getting a joke. Like, and I don't tell good jokes, but you do. So you tell jokes, and then people go, it's funny. And why is it funny? And they go, I don't know, it's funny. Not only funny, but funny the way the person told it, like that. It's really interesting. So that it's hard that the primordial wisdom mind is ever present but elusive that way. But fortunately, we have the ability to kind of do it, fake it till we make it. Luckily, we have that ability to do that. But we need some kind of model. It's weird. Usually, that's the sad part. If we're not around good modeling and people that are there right at the moment to say, oh, that's it, then we might miss an opportunity. That's why the teacher and the Sangha is so important. We try to be there so that person could catch us in the act of being ourselves, like that. And that's an extraordinary experience where usually if you're partnered up and you have a really nifty partner, they'll catch you in the act of being yourself. Usually it's the act of being a jerk, but still. They actually catch us doing something good and they go, oh, wow. There's a little light that goes on. It's interesting. Yay.
Any other questions? Rinpoche, there's been a request
Where?
here from the Sangha.
Okay.
That we do one round of Tara, and I've been loaned the mala beads so I can lead it, and we're ready to put it up on the screen. Is that
Oh,
acceptable?
sure. So if I could just say a little bit, like, of course, usually we're trying to do, we're just trying to think, okay, here's this beautiful goddess, this enlightened goddess, and what are our qualities, compassion, activity. But take it inside and notice, like how I use tantric imagery. Is that okay? I'm using a little bit more Dzogchen, like your energies are the alternate energies are making love to each other. You see, that's how we say it in Tantra. That these alternating energies they're dancing, right? So for those who have done a little Tantra, then you can understand like how the Dakinis dance. We use that kind of terminology, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? Can you feel the dancing, the Dakinis dancing within you? So like Tara can be, for some people, Tara is like outside Mahayana style, like she's just representing love and compassion and quick response, but then bring it inside and the felt sense of the energies moving is this blissful dance. It's like they're in love with each other. Is it okay to talk tantric once in a while? You won't get this from many other teachers. They'll just say, be nice and don't be a jerk, right? And we need to hear that a lot too. But we need to hear, feel the energy dancing within you as you do the mantra. Okay, peach. Okay. Ready?
Yes. So let's do the mantras together. I'm thinking jointly, maybe not. We'll lead the first three, and then I'll continue to count, and I will come back in for the last one.
Om tari tu tari turi soha.
Om tari tu tari turi soha. Om tari tu tari turi soha. Om tari tu tari turi soha. Om.
Om Tari Tutari
Right, Tutari Soha.
It's nice when we have that experience, like the whole universe is breathing, and the important part, particularly strong with Mahayana, is like everyone's breathing with us, right? The whole universe is alive and breathing, and that includes people we don't like and people we didn't vote for. You know, everyone is included in the big breathing universe world. Yeah, that's actually the real Torah, right? Whole universe is alive. That's a nice experience. Okay, let's do close.
Let's begin. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish, and may the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators, please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasury of objectless compassion, Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras, Sankapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages, Losang Drakpa, I make request at your holy feet.
Now for the good part, the announcements, what you've been waiting for, the prize.
I thought your talk was the good part.
No, the announcements. It's all leading up to this.
Oh, this is the pinnacle.
This is the pinnacle. It's the climax right now.
All right, who's
Okay.
going to start the climax?
Okay, all right. Yay. Yay. Drum roll.
Susan, where are you going? I'm coming to you.
Hi, I'm Susan, and so there it is. My announcement is about a new program that begins on March 8th called the Sustainable Service Program. And on Saturday, March 8th is the first two modules. It's being taught by Tenzin Choki, who some of you probably know, some of us for sure know. She's a fabulous teacher. So the morning session is called Clarifying Our Intentions, and the afternoon session is called Building Resilience by Balancing Empathy. And the whole goal of the program is to help us maintain and become stronger in our lives and the way that we serve others. I mean, everybody serves somebody, right? We all have jobs, or we have parents that need help, or we have friends, or we volunteer in the community. There's lots of different ways that we serve. And so this program is meant to be a series of trainings that help us continue and sustain and maintain ourselves while we're doing these kinds of services. So anyway, there's a lot more about the program that is on, you can access it on the main page of our website on the homepage. And you can register also on the homepage. And if you want any more about the program, I can forward to you an email that just went out, I think on Monday, that describes it as well. So come and see me afterwards if you want more information. And do you want to say anything, Lama?
it should be fun, because Tenzin Choki's got a really good sense of humor. So she's just fun to be around. So she's fun. Yeah. Helping people isn't always fun, but if we do bring fun to it, fun is lubricant, So she's fun. She's funny, and you can make fun of her too. You can joke with her. Yeah, DJs will always do that. It was like, okay, how seriously do you take yourself? So in monastery situations, they always make up a nickname for you, so they'll tease you, and if you take yourself too importantly. So she's been through that. It's great. So you can really laugh together. Next.
On Mondays, we have the Entering the Path meditation and discussion session. So if you're new to the temple, old to the temple, you can come too. Please join us Monday at 6:00 in the dojo. And we meditate and discuss from 6 to 7. And at 7:00, Lama joins us for a really great talk. So just a cherry on the cake.
La 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 ho.
So
Yep.
on Thursday, we're starting a new program with Lama Jinpa and Geshe Damcho together, which is really a really rare opportunity to be with two abbots actually. And they're going to teach an introductory course on Kriya Tantra. And so many of you have received a letter, but it's also been in the Roar and it's on the website. So I don't know how else to say it, but I'm asking you tonight, this morning, if you want to really learn something, that you take advantage of this amazing opportunity. And that's my last announcement.
Is that the last announcement? Anyone else? Oh, I do now. There is a membership meeting. Well, maybe I should just go through the day, right? So it sounds like we're gonna do this. Then we're gonna go in there and we're gonna chomp down some food together. Then we're gonna do a book signing, a booklet signing. Okay, we're gonna do a chapbook signing, and then we're going to do Kala Chakra. Our membership meeting, folks who are already on the committee, we see you, don't try to escape. And then you will be released out into the world to do your little bodhisattva selves stuff.
Thank you. Okay, music.
Omo araya pasayana